telling you why he needs to apologise and pay reparations.
Why? What did he do?
Anything to do with slavery.
What did he do?
Wait, hold on a second. This country.
You can't just keep talking. Answer my question.
Let's have a conversation.
Answer my question.
Let's have a conversation.
You're about to watch one of the most classic debates on TV when this BLM activist tells Piers Morgan why King Charles needs to apologise to the former countries of the British Empire over colonialism and pay reparations. But Piers Morgan brilliantly exposes her. So we're going to watch this, and I'm going to tell you a bit more as we do. Let's dive in.
The problem with this racism narrative that these two have spun without any evidence is that people around the world, particularly people of colour, they believe it. And why wouldn't they believe it? They're hearing the first person who wasn't a white royal bride say they're racist, these people. So then the damage is palpable, it's tangible, and it will lead, I think, if we're not careful, to a load of these countries becoming republics and the beginning of the end of the monarchy.
Thank you for your soliloquy.
No, thank you.
All right, no problem. So first and foremost, my feelings on the royal family and racism are not predicated on Harry and Meghan's willingness to identify it. That's the difference between me and you. We are talking about a country that was built off of racism, and we are referring to the oldest institution in this country that started it all. So that's the first thing. In terms of why black people and many others feel the way that we do, well, the monarchy is a symbol of white supremacy. Okay? White supremacy. That is the reason.
Why does it make any difference if King Charles says sorry? Or why does it make if he pays money? What difference does that make?
Okay. Good question.
So reparations.
How does it combat racism?
No, it actually does. So
the guy hasn't got a racist bone in his body. He's done more for racism than any public figure in the country. Why should he be paying for the sins of people hundreds of years ago?
Okay, so can I finish?
Yes.
Thank you very much. So the monarchy is a symbol of white supremacy, which is what black people have had to contend with for the last 400 years.
How can the monarchy be a symbol of white supremacy when the majority of their subjects are white in the UK? So it's not as though all white people are sitting on the throne. It makes no sense.
Standing the fact that Elizabeth, or every king and queen from Elizabeth I...
You think the last late queen was a model of white supremacy?
Let me finish my point. You just asked me several questions. Let me finish my point.
Well, answer the question.
Right, I'm getting there, so just finish.
Well, hurry up.
Let me just finish, okay?
Hurry up.
So, every king and queen from Elizabeth I to William IV has supported and profited off of slavery. So this is about the fact that this country was built off of racism, and that's
this
the
country
point.
also
Wait, hold on
led.
A second. This country.
You can't just keep talking.
No, because I haven't even finished my point.
You can't just make outlandish statements about our royal family and not expect me to jump in.
Piers, you keep interrupting. Can I finish my point?
This country also led the world out of slavery.
Okay, so can I finish my point?
A long time ago.
Can I finish?
There are reports that when the West Africa Squadron was literally manning the shores or the seas to try and end slavery, that for every 9 slaves that were freed, 1 member of the British Navy died and lost their lives. So literally the Brits paid in their blood to end slavery.
Finish my point, please.
Yes.
Perfect.
But please finish it.
I will. No problem. Just be patient. So every single king and queen from Elizabeth I to William IV over a 270-year period supported the enslavement of Africans and profited as a result. So it doesn't... It doesn't take any genius. Hold on a second. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that this country was built off of racism, and it stems from white supremacy, all of which is directly attributed to the crown, slavery, and colonialism. To answer your point, let me finish my point. You can't just keep talking. Piers, you keep interrupting.
Answer my question.
Let's have a conversation.
Answer my question.
Let's have a conversation.
We need mediation here, guys.
You spoke about slavery. Let me answer the point.
I asked you a specific question. Why should King Charles be either apologising for what happened centuries ago or paying money for it?
Okay.
And should the African countries pay reparations to Northern European countries for the Barbary slave trade? Should Nigeria pay reparations to other African countries for slavery? Because, of course, Africans were enslaving Africans centuries before any white man stepped on the continent, right? In fact, in Nigeria, the Benin Kingdom, modern-day Nigeria, it was a practice where they would sacrifice their slaves every 3 to 4 days between, I think, June and September to their gods. So, if we're going to go back into the history books, we need to be fair about what we're talking about.
So what you're talking about is slavery. I'm not talking about slavery. Slavery can be traced back to Europe. The Greek slave trade, to be specific, in 400 BC, then the Roman Empire, and then we get to the Muslim conquest of 7th century.
And black people had slaves
so what
too,
we're talking about,
right?
exactly. So I'm not talking about
slavery comes in many forms. There is a lot of slavery around today.
So I'll tell you what I'm talking about. I'm talking about colonialism, neocolonialism, racism, racial disparities, and the racist system of oppression and exploitation of black people and white supremacist activities, which have been rebanded under the
What's that got to do with King Charles?
Oh my gosh.
I am telling you why he needs to apologise and pay reparations.
What did he do?
Anything to do with slavery. Slavery
What did
is an
he
element.
do?
I'm telling you, colonialism, neo-colonialism,
He didn't do
racism,
that.
racial disparities in a racist system and white supremacist attitudes. That is the legacies of the crown. Slavery and colonialism that still remain to this day. Let me finally get my point across. Lord.
After all of this, you haven't got it across. What?
You've got your point across, but here's my point, my counterpoint to you. What's any of that got to do with King Charles, who actually has been, I think, one of the great standard bearers in royal history for actually promoting racial equality and tackling racial injustice?
So let me
explain. Yet you want him to be issuing grovelling apologies for people hundreds of years ago, and you want him to pay money.
Okay.
And I guarantee if he pays a penny, it's not going to go and help any of the poor people at the bottom of society in these African countries. It's going to line the pockets of corrupt bureaucrats, corrupt socialist bureaucrats that are really responsible for a lot of the poverty you see in Africa today. I'll tell you, it's not colonialism that's the reason for so much of the poverty in many of the former British colonies.
So I think black people would be far more inclined to get over it if it wasn't for the fact that the legacies of the crown, slavery and colonialism still remain, which includes racism, racial disparities and the racist global system of oppression and exploitation of black people. Which
all right, you're not answering my question.
I am, but you don't want to accept it. That's the difference.
No,
that is the difference.
You haven't explained
you also have the wealth and economic expansion as a result of exploitation of black people. And you also have
let Tessa speak now.
Hold on. You haven't even let me finish, Piers. No problem. No problem.
You've done 9/10 of the talk.
No, you didn't let me
Tessa.
finish.
Wow, this was incredible. Honestly, I'm telling you, yeah, black people everywhere would be so much happier if they stopped blaming other people for their problems. Let me give you an example, okay? So people love to believe that colonialism is the reason why Africa is poor. Well, let me tell you, 2 former British colonies, Singapore, gained their independence 1 year after Zambia, okay? Today, Singapore's GDP is 600 billion. And Zambia's GDP is 30 billion. Singapore per capita, the average person, $90,000. In Zambia, it's $3,700. Why? What's the difference? I mean, they're both former colonies, right? If colonialism was the reason for their poverty, then surely they should both be struggling just as much. Singapore is a tiny, tiny country, and yet they're so wealthy. Well, the difference is Zambia decided to go down the socialist route, and Singapore opened up their markets. So Zambia, in other words, Zambia nationalized everything. They took farming, agriculture, industry, nationalized everything. And so what happened? It's run by the government, so it's run badly. All of the investors leave because why are we investing in poorly government-run stuff? And then also their best and brightest left because we want to work in a thriving environment. Whereas Singapore opened up to investment. Singapore have people pouring money into that country, and now they're a global financial hub. They're a beast. In other words, Singapore is rich and Zambia is poor because of their own decisions. And this is what it always comes down to. A lot of woke people want to blame everybody for how their life has turned out. It's racism. It's this, it's that, it's colonialism. It's all these forces from back in the day that we can't change because it's in history. So the only thing we can do is for you to give me preferential treatment right now. Give me reparations. Give me an easy ride through. Give me advantages. Give me equity. Give me DEI. Because they want to blame their problems on somebody else. But I'm telling you, life is so much better when you just take responsibility for what you can. And what you can't, don't worry about it. I'm telling you, the majority, the vast majority of black people, of Asian people, of whatever, in the UK right now, their lives are where they are, whether for good or whether for bad, not because of racism, but because of decisions that they or the people immediately around them have made. So the solution going forward is for people to make better decisions, not blaming everybody for how their life has turned out. Trust me, you'll enjoy life so much more. And if you want to carry on enjoying, then check out the video on your screen because I know you will love it. I'll see you there. Peace and blessings.